And here we are in another edition of the Music Connection. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
We are thrilled with our guest tonight. This is a very exciting moment for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this nice surprise.
We have a young member of our family who has been tickling the ivories for a long time, and since the last maybe 1 decade, he's been tickling the pearly whites of many lucky patients. So please don't let me keep you away from Mr. Scott Tilson Claiborne.
Who's actually Doctor.
That's right, doctor.
That's right, an MD and a DDS. Hi, Scott.
Hello. I do have to confess that I just did what my grandfather always told me, which was stay in school and don't stop. So,
Well, it's so. This is the first time that you and I have met in person.
my middle name betrays that we are relatives.
Yes,
so I mean, we must be third cousins or something similar to that. But
I figured
sure the answer.
I figured it out. We are.
I was gonna pull out the Tilson wheel and actually figure this out, but I didn't get that.
Okay. Well, I figured it out. We're second cousins once removed, because my great grandfather Frank Tilson is your great grandfather Frank Tilson. Same guy, different relationship. And of course, I've just had the great pleasure of knowing your mom. And I don't know if Jeannie's on, but hi, Jeannie. Hi, Larry. Hi, Beth Ann. And maybe Marie Tilson is on from San Francisco. And so any other cousins, lovely to see you all.
Well, we're very excited to have Scott on because not only do we know that he studied for all of your life, following your grandfather's advice, but you also are quite the pianist in the family. And this is according to your mom.
Yes. Well,
So what is your earliest memory of music?
My earliest memory of music is probably as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old. There's a picture of me, banging on the piano with, a finger or two. And that I think was, from a very early age, my grandfather and my grandmother on my dad's side played piano, and my dad obviously played piano. So that's how I was kind of exposed, I think, to music initially. So I grew up with it. So it was something that I just kind of naturally wanted to do. And then at the age of somewhere around 5 or 7, I think I started seriously thinking about it. I didn't start taking actual lessons until about 7. So I took lessons from then on until about 18, officially.
And who was the composer that you remember as a kid being just tremendously drawn to, of all the many great composers?
I think my earliest memory is actually big band music, because that's what my grandparents played. 40s and 50s standards kind of was probably my first exposure to music. I didn't really get much exposure to classical composers or other eras, I guess, until I actually started listening more to classical music when I became trained.
Very good.
And
but
did
it's now
you?
something that, classical music to me right now is something that's a part of me. Whereas I wouldn't have said that probably until I was 13 or 14. I always loved music, but I never really, I didn't really connect with it until I got to a point where I could sit down and play music by sight reading. And that really connected it to me. When you could sit down and pick up a piece of music and then just play it, that was like a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have, I knew of people, and I'm always amazed at people who play by ear. And I don't have that talent at all. I've never tried to really stretch that, but I know that, I'm not one of those people that can just sit down and you can name a piece and I can play it. So I'm always kind of in awe of those people. So I learned classically reading sheet music.
We'll talk after you get a chance to play a little bit about, since you're a scientist, and I'm always fascinated by the fact that so many scientists happen to be really good musicians. So
there has to be a link somehow. And
Well,
in fact, George's sister, your cousin Annie, is also a flautist, and she always says that she's paper trained.
Well, I say I'm classically trained. I don't know if that's hoity-toity.
you're the hoity-toity relative.
But I mean, I think my teacher always made a point of establishing music theory, and I learned music theory kind of going along, which is, most people think of music theory as this class that everybody has to take that majors in music that everybody hates, and it's like a separate entity. And so my teacher always really kind of reinforced it going along. I learned scales from an early age and all of the fundamentals, I guess. Somehow she was able to tie that in together. I mean, I'm still kind of amazed when I look backwards on that. I'm glad that I never really actually quit, even though there were a few times being very young that you just didn't want to practice. So you didn't want to put the hard work in.
Well, I'm sure
Part
that
of me now, I can't imagine not having that. I could stop surgery today and I'd probably be operating on the kitchen table, but if I didn't do music, I mean, I wouldn't be the same person.
Well, we are so thrilled to be with you tonight. Would you share some music? What's the first piece you're going to play for us?
The first piece is a Rachmaninoff prelude, Opus 23, number 5. It's a fairly famous one.
Wonderful. Bravo, bravo. And the concert hall erupts. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
That was wonderful. There is the middle section to me sounded so Spanish. Though that chord progression was like a ripple of a guitar in a flamenco dance. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
So, we're watching a surgeon's hands there on that Rachmaninoff. Very impressive.
Do you, when you are performing surgery, are you playing music in your head?
No, but they're very similar. The motions and the movements are fairly similar. They're both artistic talents, I think. And I think initially, when I started training, I trained in dentistry first. And it was very helpful because I was already used to making my hands do what I wanted them to do. And I think a lot of my classmates that didn't have really an experience, carving with their hands or working with their hands, struggled a bit because of that. So I know that they're somehow connected. And I'm also I'm naturally left-handed, and I do a lot of surgery. I know, and I know that's a family. I know that's a family thing as well. I think, but I do a lot of things right-handed, and I think piano had a lot to do with that because my piano's mostly dominant in the right hand. So it's interesting, so now surgically I can do things with both hands, and because I think piano is so much related to it.
Would you do another piece for us? My gosh, you got me in the mood.
Yes.
And while you're thinking, I know that you have a big affinity for Civil War, and you are quite the collector of books and artifacts and memorabilia. What about music?
You mean collections of music?
Or research and ideas of music of the era? Anything that has grabbed you while you have encountered any of those things?
I mean, I certainly do have. I have my fair share of music books, and I guess not. I haven't really probably studied music history since I was in college. But when I was in college, I took a specific course on Beethoven, predominantly because I think I was in high school. I was mostly drawn to Chopin, and so that was kind of my first love as far as classical composers. Rachmaninoff was just someone that I pick a piece here or there, and I think mostly drawn to the Romantic era. So Chopin and Beethoven were probably predominantly the people that I was most affiliated with, and I only really took those couple of classes in college. I had the poor distinction of being quite stubborn, and the piece that I played tonight is a piece that I played 20 years ago for a scholarship audition at Wake Forest, and I lost.
Oh no!
So I didn't get the full ride scholarship that I wanted in music. It still burns me to this day.
Yeah, you haven't forgotten it. You never will forget.
So every now and then I dust this piece off just to prove to myself that I can still play it.
Great. Tell us what the piece is.
Well, and we'll give you the scholarship just because you deserve it.
Yeah.
So the other one is well, actually, hang on. I'm going to have to step out of your view to pick up the music.
So do you recall?
Nice to have a reunion.
Yeah, it's a great reunion.
The other one is a long-term favorite of mine. It's the theme to the Ken Burns Civil War series, which ties in both of my loves. It's called the Ashokan Farewell.
Wonderful. All right. Scott Claiborne. That's really, really evocative. And I think that Ken Burns series documentary is astounding, just like all of Ken Burns' work. Have you seen all of Ken's documentaries?
Not all of them, only because I rewatched. I mean, I had the Civil War one on VHS, and I think I ruined the VHS tapes. I mean, I could quote the series to you even now, but I watched his World War II and his Vietnam series. I watched his series on Mark Twain and Thomas Jefferson. I'm still missing the one on baseball, I think, and jazz. I didn't really, even though I used to be a baseball fan, I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask you since you're a UConn grad for med school, are you a Huskies? Oh, you're
No.
Never mind, you don't have to say anything.
I'm predominantly ACC, so I'll root for, well, obviously Wake Forest, and then I'll root for the Terrapins if they're playing someone else.
Yeah.
I'm not a UConn convert.
Well, listen,
I don't like the cold weather. Even though I've lived in Minnesota, I don't like the cold weather, so I'm still a Southerner at heart.
You're still Southern at heart, even though you don't sound like it. Good job mastering that. But I tell you, you talked about earlier about the whole thing about music, not really seeing yourself being able to be without music. Do you think that is one of the tools that we have to avail ourselves to be able to be in this long stretch of holding on until we have a solution for this pandemic?
I think for sure. I mean, I think music to me has always been something that I've always had in my life, and I can't see my life any other way. In a way that my profession, even though I really love what I do, I mean, I probably, I can say I probably wouldn't be the same if I didn't have music in my life. And I think that's, a lot of people can say that, but until you play music, I don't think you get quite the same intensity of that.
If I could say, I've been talking a lot with friends who are artists and performing artists, and I'm really trying to encourage them to reach out to schools everywhere and offer their talents, to have the schools pay them to help with this remote learning and to help kids with projects and interesting, whether you're a technical artist or a fine artist or musician. So I just want to put that plug in out there for anybody listening who's an artist who's out of work right now. Well, Scott, this has been such a great reunion, and the first time you and I've met in person. Well, I can't wait to actually meet you in person. That'll be the next time. And Dr. Scott Claiborne, everybody, thank you for being with us tonight.
Sure. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to come back.
And
Wonderful.
you shall, because this was wonderful, and we cannot wait until that happens again. And so hang on in there while we say goodbye. I want to thank cousin.
Hi to all my friends in North Carolina, Minnesota, and Connecticut, and relatives.
That's great. Well, and I want to say thank you to cousin Jeannie, because she's the one who not only made you happen, but also said, you need to email Scott right now.
Oh, yeah, she makes a good agent.
She is a good agent, and then she also prods me as well.
Did you hear what he said? He said, "Mama."
Part of my profession is that I'm pulled in 6 different directions, which is part. So today was also a frazzling day, so it's nice to have to come back and share this with you all.
Thank you.
We're thrilled,
and as well, this is how I unwind after a long day. So, and
I can see why. It's wonderful, and we are so much looking forward to not only getting to know you, but getting to hear you in all of the special ways that you can share your music with us.
And take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you at the next Music Connection.